Richard's in Chelmsford. Richard, what would you like to say?
Yeah, hello, James. Been looking forward to this.
Go on, mate.
Yeah. Basically, I don't think it's about the curtsy itself.
What isn't?
I think it. Well, that was your conversation, right?
Yeah, but what isn't about the curtsy? The anger and the
Yes,
and the outrage.
Yeah. Well, her presentation of what she's saying.
Of the
I don't
curtsy.
think it's about the curtsy
Right.
itself.
No.
I think it's about the sort of character that she is.
Yeah.
Which seems obviously quite vindictive.
Right.
Because I think it's evident that she had split up with a few partners in the past.
God, really?
And sent a ring in the post, just dropped her boyfriend. I think it was a restaurateur or something, and he was going to further her career.
Right. Where did you learn this?
This morning.
No, but where? Where did the information come from?
Oh, Talk Radio, your favourite.
What?
I know you're laughing, James. Yeah, I know you would, because you think you're the bee's knees, aren't you, mate?
Richard, you were looking forward to this. Let's not let it fall apart quite so early.
No, I am looking forward to this.
So you heard on a radio station that she once sent a ring to an ex, and now you know what her character really is.
No, you can.
But why didn't you hear on this radio? No, you carry on. You crack on, mate.
Don't you see it yourself? I mean, I don't actually think that you believe what you're saying. I think you're a provocateur, and that's the whole basis of your show, isn't it?
And now we're talking about me.
But it's always about you, isn't it?
No, we're talking about Meghan Markle and your insights into her character gleaned from listening to a different radio station an hour ago.
Yeah, they had Richard Tice on earlier. You know, the one that you had out in Keckner's.
Yes, I told him to
That's
F
right,
off.
yeah.
Why are we talking about that now, Richard?
No, I'm just sort of saying that because you asked me where I heard it. That's all.
But you'd already told me.
Yeah.
So what's going on, Richard? Really? Do you think here?
But how do you mean?
Well, you've got on the radio. You said you were really looking forward to it, and
well, I am because
but here
you know,
what are you telling me, Richard?
Girl on radio.
What do you think you're telling me?
You just bullied a poor girl on the radio. She's speaking a lot of sense, and you're just trying to humiliate her.
Okay, I mean that's a criticism that I have now heard. But why are you here?
I am here because I'm telling you I think she's a very vindictive character.
Based on what?
I know people.
Yeah, go on.
I've met people that have gone out with partners that think they're the bee's knees,
right.
And when the attention doesn't come their way, they think they're queen bee. I've been out with women like that myself. And,
right, you've been out with women like Meghan Markle, Richard.
Obviously, they haven't been on the Suits.
James O'Brien clashes with a caller who dislikes Meghan.
I think it's about the character that she is, which seems obviously quite vindictive.
Oh, come on now, Richard. That's a bit harsh, don't you think?
Let's try to keep this conversation respectful, folks.
Richard believes the issue is fundamentally about the character of the individual being discussed, rather than mere matters of courtesy or etiquette. He argues that character is the core of a person's actions and decisions, shaping how they interact with others and respond to various situations. Courtesy and etiquette, while important, are surface-level behaviors that can be easily manipulated or faked. Character, on the other hand, is deeply ingrained and reveals the true nature of a person. Richard emphasizes that understanding someone's character provides a more accurate and reliable basis for judgment than simply observing their manners or social graces.
I think it's about the character that she is, which seems obviously quite vindictive. When you look at her past actions and the way she has treated people, it becomes clear that her behavior is not just a series of isolated incidents, but a pattern that reflects her true character. This vindictiveness is not something that can be overlooked or excused by good manners or polite behavior in public settings. It's a fundamental aspect of who she is, and it affects all her interactions and relationships. I think it's evident that she had split up with a few partners in the past. These breakups were not amicable, and they often involved a lot of drama and conflict. This history of tumultuous relationships further supports the idea that her character is problematic. It's not just about how she behaves in public or in professional settings. It's about how she treats people in her personal life as well. Her inability to maintain healthy, respectful relationships is a clear indicator of her true character. Oh, Talk Radio, your favorite. It's a platform where people can really delve into these issues and discuss them in depth. On Talk Radio, you get to hear different perspectives and insights that you might not get in other media formats. It's a place where character can be analyzed and debated, and where listeners can form their own opinions based on the discussions. This is why Talk Radio is such a valuable medium for exploring complex topics like character and behavior.
Tired of bland news that puts you to sleep faster than a broken alarm clock? Welcome to C News, a place where facts meet flair and every headline packs a punch. If you're here for the usual robotic delivery and endless fluff, we're sorry to disappoint, not really. At C News, we do it differently: sharper stories, bolder opinions, and just the right dose of wit to keep you glued. Subscribing to C News isn't just supporting a channel, it's joining a movement. A movement where your coffee and your news both come strong, bold, and impossible to ignore. Why settle for cookie-cutter content when you can have your updates with a side of sass and a sprinkle of brilliance? We don't just report the news, we make you think, laugh, and occasionally yell at your screen. It's healthy, we promise. Hit that subscribe button and transform your daily news scroll into something that feels less like a chore and more like a treat. Don't let the algorithm bury us under a sea of clickbait nonsense. We're here for the smart, savvy, and unapologetically curious. So, join the C News family today. Trust us, your brain will thank you, and your funny bone might too. We'll be here, turning the day's chaos into compelling stories. Are you in? James O'Brien leaned back in his chair, his tone calm but piercing as the caller's voice crackled through the line. You don't understand, James, the caller, Martin, said, his frustration barely concealed. People are tired of being told what they can and can't say. It's political correctness gone mad. James smirked, leaning forward into the microphone. Ah, Martin, the old, political correctness gone mad chestnut. Tell me, what exactly is it stopping you from saying? Well, it's not just me, Martin shot back. It's everyone. People are scared to speak the truth these days. Which truth, Martin? James interjected. The one about how we should treat each other with basic respect. Or the one where someone's freedom of speech is just a thinly veiled excuse for being rude or offensive. Martin's voice grew louder. You're twisting my words. This country used to value honesty, James. Now, if you speak your mind, someone calls you racist or sexist. James tilted his head, a sharp edge to his voice. Perhaps, Martin, it's not what you're saying but how you're saying it, or maybe even what you're thinking while you say it. Just a thought. Martin spluttered for a moment before regaining his footing. It's not fair to vilify people for their opinions, James. You lot on the left want to control everything, but you don't understand how real people feel. James chuckled softly. Oh, Martin, real people. A phrase as meaningless as common sense. Tell me, do you think it's unfair to expect people to consider how their words might hurt others? That's not the point, Martin exclaimed. We're too focused on feelings and not enough on facts. And yet, James replied smoothly, the fact remains that this so-called focus on feelings often improves lives. Are you opposed to that, or just uncomfortable with change? Martin hesitated, his anger simmering beneath the surface. Look, I just think we've lost something. People aren't allowed to be who they are anymore. James raised an eyebrow. Are they not, Martin? Or is it that people are now being held accountable for who they are? There's a difference, and I suspect it's the latter that bothers you. The line went silent for a moment before Martin muttered, you don't get it. You live in your bubble, James. James grinned. Ah, the bubble argument. Always a classic. Tell me, Martin, is your bubble bursting because it can't handle a bit of fresh air? Martin stammered, but before he could respond, James moved on with a brisk, we'll leave it there, Martin. Thanks for your call. Martin's silence lingered, but his frustration was palpable even through the phone line. You make everything sound so black and white, James, he said at last. The world's more complicated than your lectures. James tapped his pen on the desk, his tone unyielding. Oh, I agree, Martin. The world is complicated. That's precisely why we have to think harder about what we say and do. Blaming political correctness is a lazy excuse for dodging that responsibility. Lazy, Martin barked, his indignation flaring. I've worked hard my whole life, James. I don't need a radio host telling me I'm lazy just because I speak my mind. James sighed lightly, his voice dropping to a softer but no less pointed tone. Martin, no one's questioning your work ethic. But perhaps, just perhaps, some of the things you speak your mind about need a bit more refining. Wouldn't you agree that progress often feels uncomfortable at first? Martin grumbled, searching for a response but finding none. All I'm saying is, it's too much. People don't know where they stand anymore, he said, his earlier fire now reduced to embers, and maybe, James concluded, that's a good thing. Uncertainty forces us to listen, reflect, and grow. I'd take that over the certainty of outdated prejudices any day. Thanks for calling, Martin. The line clicked, leaving the airwaves buzzing with the faint echo of unresolved tension.